Here are some interesting questions. How can you strengthen the bond between parent and child? How can you encourage families to leave their comfort zone and embrace our global diversity? How can one forge a more meaningful connection between kids and the world? Well, travel, of course. Travel fosters empathy, builds confidence, and supports a more tolerant global perspective. Outcomes that benefit us all. The hard questions in life are best approached with curiosity. Here's the thing: diversity is essential to creating a richer society. Embracing the unknown is key to learning resiliency. And change begins at home, but transformation takes place on the road. Hi, I'm Tej, the happy host of Chezuba Talks, a podcast series where I get to talk to incredible people with phenomenal ideas. Today's trailblazer is Amanda Renna. She is the founder and CEO of Travelnitch. Yes, you heard that right. An organization that creates a niche for kids with the travel itch. Welcome to Chezuba Talks, Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today and talk with you.
I am too, actually. The idea of travel and teaching and learning, of course, is extremely exciting. Travel itself is a big teacher. So, could you share your personal journey of rediscovering the magic of travel?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long one. It started when I was super little. To be honest, I didn't have a whole lot of experience with global travel as a child. I came from a middle income family. We took a lot of day trips. We did, small family vacations during the summer months, but nothing too extravagant. But it was really enough to kind of ignite that passion or that fire for seeing what was out there and kind of getting to know things that existed beyond my little everyday bubble. So the older I got, the more I wanted to just get out and adventure and see the world. So I think I first did that by going to college away from home. And, so as a young adult, I was out on my own in a completely new place. And it really just reinforced the fact that, I was born to do this. I really just wanted to get out and meet new people, see new places, try new things. And so that just perpetuated throughout my entire life. After college, I went into the Peace Corps. So that's when I started traveling more globally. And I just loved every experience. And, travel's not always the most smooth experience. Everyone has a
Yes.
good day or a bad day
Yes.
out on the road. Um, but, when you get back and you kind of have that big picture view of
Hmm.
all your experiences, it's just such a magical thing. And I really think that it just helps us grow as people. And so I've been doing it my whole life. And now as a mom, I'm trying to get my kids excited about that.
I couldn't agree more. So, have your kids influenced the founding of Travel Niche?
Oh, absolutely. They are at the core the one and only reason I started the whole adventure in the first place.
Okay.
It's funny because it actually started out more as a mom passion project. My kids were maybe like 3, 4 years old, and they were just starting to get to that point where they understood that there was a bigger world around them. So I really kind of wanted to support that growth. So we'd go on trips to the library just to try to take out books so I could kind of get them to learn about the world through reading at night at bedtime. And I struggled as a mom to really find what I was looking for. Like, we have a small town library. I know there's tons of content out there, but you really had to, or I really had to dig to kind of find it and piece it all together. So I think the initial spark was more on the publishing side of things, that I really wanted to find a way to create this resource library for families who were in my situation, who were kind of looking to inspire their own children, but maybe didn't know where to go or what to look for. So really, at its core, we're a publishing company, just trying to create digital content. We've branched out into some print stuff. Like, we just released a new bedtime stories for young explorers book. But again, at its core, it was more about telling stories that really inspire that interest in seeing the world. And so my kids, I guess they were my biggest inspiration.
Right. So, have you kept a record of where you have traveled and how long you've traveled and with who you have traveled?
Yeah, all up here. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I've kept a mental record. I've journaled here and there over the years. I was a journalism major in college, and so writing
Okay.
is a huge thing for me. But I've never been consistent about it. I have obviously written a few travel articles here and there about the places that I've been to. But the reality is, when I'm traveling, I really just love being in it. And so I try to avoid doing anything that takes me away from really being present in that moment and, meeting and engaging with those people that I come across. So, while I've done some, writing after the fact about those adventures, most of my experiences are just kind of all up in my brain.
Right. I agree with the part where you have to be, immersed in the experience. But I mean, so do you collect fridge magnets or souvenirs or mementos, or do you collect memories?
I mostly collect memories. I'm big into photography. So for me, my greatest memory is just photographs. So I always have my phone with me, like most people, I guess nowadays.
Yeah.
But it serves a greater purpose when I'm traveling. I love to, take photographs with my phone just so I have those memories to look back on. And
Right.
I do actually. We're a big camping family, so I do actually collect fridge magnets when we go camping as a family. So we put them in our camper. So
Yeah.
little
Wonderful.
mementos.
Let's talk about your programs. What programs do you run? Are they virtual? Are they outdoors? Do you take people on experiential tours?
So, again, we started out as a publishing company. So, our first program was really just focused on the idea of storytelling. So, sharing inspiring stories of, places around the world that kids might find fascinating and interesting. So, we have like a strange and spooky category, and there's a category focused on food and cuisine. So, just anything that really kind of gets kids thinking about how different life is in another part of the world, so that maybe it sparks that curiosity. Beyond that, that was the first couple of years. And then when we actually started out as a private company. And then, my whole professional experience has been in the nonprofit sector. So I think kind of organically we merged into that industry. So we became a nonprofit in 2020. And that's when the programs really started to take shape. So we have a program called The World on Wheels, which is a small bookshop on wheels. That's a more localized program,
Lovely.
obviously. So we're in the state of Massachusetts in the US. And so we take that mobile bookshop out into the communities across the state, and we just give kids a chance to kind of interact with arts and crafts and books and games that get them excited about the world. So that's been a great experience because I really get to meet people one on one, which a lot of our work is more virtual. So I don't really get that much. So that's been great. We do virtual adventures. So we've been dabbling in virtual tours in collaboration with other companies that already kind of do it really well. It's hit or miss. We're kind of learning as we go. But, everything we do is kind of keeping in mind that sole purpose of who we are and what we do, which is just trying to connect with kids and get them excited about exploration. We have a Big Writers Little Ears program. That's probably been our most successful so far. It's actually focused on travel writing for young aspiring writers. And we had a wonderful grant from the National Endowment for the Arts last year that helped kind of kick that off. So we provided a free travel writing webinar for high school students who are interested in becoming travel writers or learning more about the art of travel writing.
Oh, that's
And
great.
then beyond that, we encouraged them to submit a story. And then some of those stories actually got turned into a podcast, and that's our Bedtime Stories for Young Explorers podcast. And then
Ah.
we just last month released a book. So we turned a bunch of those stories into a print book that's now available on our website. And then all those proceeds go back into the organization.
Let's take a break to understand what Chezuba is. Everyone at some point ponders on how this beautiful life can be made more meaningful. Maybe you're a leader trying to enhance your employees' experience at your organization. Or you already work for the community and seek volunteers with state of the art skills to strengthen your nonprofit. Whatever your situation, know that you can make a difference. Chezuba began with this very vision, a vision to facilitate every skill and every passion in the world in meeting a social need. Corporate volunteering has several benefits for both businesses and organizations. In parallel, experienced and enthusiastic volunteers join NGO workers, enabling them to serve the community more effectively. Chezuba offers everyone looking to add purpose and meaning to their lives a chance to connect or volunteer virtually with nonprofit organizations from over 100 countries around the world. Visit www.chezuba.net and explore opportunities to find meaning. Chezuba, your platform to do good. And now, back with our guest. That's lovely.
So,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
So it's a,
I don't know. I'm just thinking of all these lovely, kids who are enjoying the stories that have been actually experienced by somebody. It's not a work of fiction. Not
yeah.
that I have anything against fiction,
Well,
but
some of them, no, some of them actually are fiction.
is
So
it?
I should be clear on that. Yes, we encourage kids to write about travel through fiction or nonfiction. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a real experience, but it does have to share a real destination and the culture and language and food of that destination. So to be authentic, obviously.
Right. Also, a great idea, right? Eventually, there is learning happening, there is knowledge sharing, and there is experience. So,
Yeah.
let's talk about when your kids were very small. You said you started traveling when they were 3 or 4 years old. So, I'm sure traveling with children is not exactly easy, right? So, what challenges did you face in balancing that?
Yeah, so there's a whole culture out there of young parents that are, on the road from day one with their infants, sacked on their back, and they're just hitting the road. And
I've seen those, yes.
I admire that. I really do. But I have to
True.
tell you, like as an everyday parent, it's just not my style. I was not interested in strapping a crying baby on my back and going and climbing
Right.
the mountain, the nearest mountain. So I think the way that we view travel with children is a little bit more about just getting out there and exploring together,
Start
even if it's
small.
just taking a day trip.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
start small. Exactly. It doesn't have to be a trip abroad. I think a lot of families, it's more realistic to assume that they're going to take a day trip to a local museum and maybe go visit a nearby state and just explore the national parks in that state or something, to that effect. And it's really just about sparking that excitement for getting out and seeing new things and having new experiences because that underlying foundation is what's going to turn them into
Very true. Yes.
curious and compassionate and empathetic adults who know how to go out and engage with the world.
True.
So yeah, for me as a mom, it was about taking my kids on these small day trips. Now that they're a little bit older, we're definitely doing bigger trips
Right.
and exploring the concept of going abroad with them because I want them to be able to appreciate it more and maybe remember that. But I guess wherever you are in your life, whatever you can manage, just make it happen.
Right. How do you see traveling to not exotic places, but places which are different, very different from what you where you stay? Do you think that's important in terms of understanding different cultures?
Absolutely. I mean, I think if you have the opportunity and the ability to go somewhere that's completely different, to
Different.
me, that's the biggest benefit, really, to your children and to yourself, really, because I mean, traveling to a place that's similar to where you are doesn't really take you out of your bubble. It doesn't really teach you anything new.
Right.
So if you can go somewhere and, really dive into a completely different culture and, be brave enough to do that, because sometimes it can be very intimidating for people who haven't done a lot of traveling. But, the reality is, at the core, you find out that people are all the same, and, you get what you give. And so if you go out into the world and you're open and accepting, and, people will return the favor.
Right. Do you want to give a little disclaimer there saying that go to safe places?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think every parent, in the back of their mind, they, are always considering the safety of a destination. I think, it's up to each individual family to decide what they're comfortable with in terms of where their line in the sand is for safety. Always be responsible about, going to the website for that country, and determining what's going on in that country in
Right.
terms of, national affairs, things like that, to make sure that you're fully aware of what your surroundings are going to be when you get there.
Right.
But I also don't think that people should go in with an abundant amount of fear. I think that going in with that mentality is going to, right from the get-go, make it not as wonderful as it probably could be.
Right. Yeah. Point noted. So, Amanda, tell me, in your years from when you have started this nonprofit, is there a memorable incident or a story that comes to your mind?
Oh, so many stories. I was a one man show for so long and kind of dabbled in all of the different aspects. And that, like I said, this was really a passion project for me from the get go. So every moment along the way has, even the failures, while sometimes they can be a little bit soul crushing when they happen, looking back, you realize that, they helped me get to where I am today. So it was really an important learning experience when things didn't always go right, or according to plan. But I think my most, and this is a program actually I don't think I mentioned earlier, but one of the ones I'm most proud of is our family travel grants program. And that's the one aspect of what we do where we actually connect people to real world travel.
Okay.
Now, again, we're a small organization. We don't give out thousands of dollars to families. Our focus is more on connecting families with smaller opportunities to get out and explore. So we provide small grants to low-income families, people who maybe otherwise wouldn't have the chance to get out and explore together. And they use these grants for a variety of things, going to museums, taking camping trips as a family. And then, so there was one family in particular, the Stevens family. There were 6 of them, 4 kids, and they live in Texas. And they had reached out asking for a grant that would help them get up to Cincinnati, because they have 4 children, all of whom have medical issues. But one in particular, their son Noah, who's 8 years old, has to go to specialists pretty regularly for his issues. And so they had to go up to Cincinnati to the hospital. But while they were there, they were hoping to go to the aquarium because he had a huge love for octopus, for the octopus. I don't even know, octopi, I guess that's what you call them when there's
Octopi.
multiple. um, so, I really just, it pulls at your heartstrings, because you realize it. I think that was my first eye opener that,
Yeah.
travel's not just about, seeing new places and having a good time. And, it can be something really critical for some families. Obviously, they are traveling for a whole different purpose. But while they're doing that, they're trying to make this a memorable experience for their other children. So I help them get passes to the local aquarium, and I help them pay for the gas money to get up there. So our grant really helped them make this whole trip happen and bring the whole family along, so that they were able to have that shared experience through travel and
Yeah.
make it something enjoyable and not just,
Work related.
productive. So
Yes.
it, such a great, so that was probably a really great turning point and moment for me, that I love that program so much, and the idea of what it can do for families with even just a small amount of money.
So true. It's so beautiful. And I think at moments like these, you feel all the efforts, all the challenges are totally worth it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a lot of work to start a nonprofit, and to keep it going is even more work. But I tell you, if you're passionate about it, it's just so fulfilling the whole way through.
So true. Yes, yes. And what is your vision for, in the future, near future? Would you like to
Near
continue doing
future,
this?
I guess to keep things growing. Obviously, we want to keep things expanding and become, bigger and more effective and impact as many people as we can. We had a really good last year financially in terms of getting grant funding, and being able to hand out family travel grants and expand our writing program. So I'd love to continue that. But a big focus for us in the year ahead is actually going to be on our virtual adventures program. We're looking to kind of change that a little bit, adapt a little bit, and connect more with the educator community. So
Okay.
we're hoping to create an entire platform that connects teachers with lesson plans, arts and crafts activities, virtual tours on demand for their classroom, and a community of teachers where we can bounce ideas off of them and get feedback directly from them, because they're the experts on what they need in the classroom and what works. So we'd love an
Wonderful.
opportunity to kind of go back and forth on that, and learn and grow through with their help. So
Super.
that's kind of the immediate focus. I'm a big picture thinker, so I also think way into the future, and I have grandiose plans that I'd love to see come to fruition. But for now, I guess it's one step at a time.
Absolutely, yes. And no, I mean, you need to dream big in order to reach to the
Yes,
stage where you fulfill so many things that are doable. And I think if you're at the right place, and if you look at Chezuba, we are an online volunteering platform, and you can get all your virtual volunteers for your virtual journeys also here.
absolutely. And, again, we rely heavily on volunteer support. We have volunteers that do book reviews, that write content for our website. I definitely foresee, as I said, doing that virtual adventure program, tapping more into educators as volunteers. We thank you for what you do, because it's going to be a great resource for us in terms of making those connections.
For sure. Lastly, Amanda, tell me, what advice would you have for parents who want to instill a love for travel and exploration in their children?
Don't hesitate. Get out and do it. Get out and explore. It doesn't have to be these huge, elaborate plans. You don't even have to step onto an airplane. Take road trips as a family. Go hiking together. Go camping together. Go explore a nearby community that has a really great cultural niche that maybe you don't know a whole lot about, and learn something new together. Go to museums. I think the most important thing is to expose your kids to as much as you possibly can from the time they're super little, so that it becomes just a normal part of who they are as they grow up, and they're maybe more used to seeing people who look different, who sound different, trying new foods, and just being more open as human beings, which I think is something we really need in this world.
Absolutely, yes. Well, yes, wishing you wondrous adventures and great dreams. May the wanderlust that you've kindled inspire generations to come. Happy travels to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda.